Welcome to day 169 of the 300 Movie Challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of June 2008, which was Kung Fu Panda. I've seen this many times, but not recently. I saw it a lot, like, near when it came out, actually. Um, I had, like, an eye operation where I was basically out of school for, like, a month, and during that time, I watched this, like, on my phone, like, a lot. This was one of a few movies that I watched a lot, like, on my phone with that. So I saw it a lot then, but again, that was like 2010. So I haven't seen it really since then. So that's kind of my take on it. But what about you two?
I've watched it once, I think in school.
I watched it once on TV when I just happened to scroll through the channels and I found it playing and I was like, okay, might as well watch it since no one said that it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these was like a while ago, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Still some time back when TV was still being watched, I guess.
Yeah.
At least in terms of like cartoons and movies aimed towards younger people.
Yeah. Because, like, okay, the basic plot of this is really simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? It's very much a standard, fish out of water plus chosen one storyline.
Yeah.
Right? We've definitely.
It's kind of like the Forbidden Kingdom in a way.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it is very similar to that now that I think about it. So, and that's the kind of story we see all the time, right? So if you just take it on that, it's, okay, whatever. And then, honestly, if you just think about this in concept, like, a movie called Kung Fu Panda, Jack Black is, like, a fat panda trying to do Kung Fu. Like, this sounds really stupid.
Yeah. It sounds like it'll be a really stupid movie,
Yeah.
and you'll come out, like, thinking it's very forgettable and stuff.
Yeah. Especially considering DreamWorks' spotty record.
They have a lot. They had like some hits, a lot of misses, but sometimes there are hits.
But, well, I guess here you two should speak first.
Since we watched it fewer times than
Yeah.
you did, apparently.
All I want to say first off is that it's visually very beautiful.
Oh yeah,
Because
Definitely.
you can pause it at a lot of scenes, and it looks like a wallpaper. Like, it looks so beautiful and everything, and the colors and the choices. And the interesting thing I noticed too is that it actually changes, like, through, like, the day. Like, you'll have
Yeah.
night, you have, like, noon, you have, like, daybreak and everything, and it all changes. Like, you can tell when it's nighttime, you can tell when it's, like, day. And that's usually, like, a lot of movies do that. But the fact that you can tell a difference between day and, like, daybreak or dusk is pretty nice and stuff, that they took the time to, like, see, like, how warm the light would be and stuff, or how cool the light would be during those times. and everything.
Another really nice detail is so everyone in this movie is an animal, and you can see very small things that they do, like when Shifu talks about like Tai Lang, his ears kind of twitch a little bit. They become a little bit sad, and then like oh, he was the most notable one, I guess, probably because I was watching him the closest, but there are a lot of very like small attentions to detail in terms of like how the animals would behave and how they would just react in ways where it's not like maybe they might say something, but their actions kind of hint at some doubt or some hesitation too.
Yeah, like, I love the scene where, like, Shifu, he tells, like, what was the leopard's name again?
Tai Lang?
Yeah, Tai
Or
Lang.
Tai Long?
Tai Lung.
Tai Long. Okay,
Tai
Tai
Long.
Long.
He tells him, I'm sorry, and he apologizes and stuff, and you can actually see his expression change and
Yeah.
everything, where you can see that it did hit, but it wasn't enough to, like, completely reform him. But He didn't speak at all. It just, you can see it all in his eyes and stuff, which was pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah.
Where he didn't need to speak, you just had to look at his face and you could tell what was running through, like, his mind and everything.
Yeah,
So,
and also what's kind of interesting is that, like, not just with the animation, but the voices too, because like some of the voices are like very distinct, right? You know, Jack Black
Yeah.
is Jack Black. Mantis is very obviously Seth Rogen, right? So there's a few isses, but like for example, Tigress is Angelina Jolie.
Oh, really?
Viper is Lucy Liu.
Oh.
Monkey is Jackie Chan.
Really?
Yeah, and Crane is fuck, I forgot his name, but he's the dude who's like in the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies, he's like the producer guy who's like the quote unquote bad dude who's like in the third movie in like the chicken suit or whatever.
I don't know what his actor's name is.
Yeah, but like you know who I'm talking about though, like just kind of picturing him.
Yeah.
So it's just like you know, you're like, oh, okay. You didn't, but you don't really think of those people, at least for voices. For me, Jack Black and like Seth Rogen are pretty obvious, but the other people aren't. So that's kind of neat as well.
Angelina Jolie. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that.
yeah.
So that's interesting, and yeah, I definitely agree about like again, not just like the animation quality, but like the use of the color and how that changes, and it kind of reflects like. Even though it's, you know, 3D CGI animation, it still kind of has that quality of, like, you know, the ancient kind of, like, East Asian artwork.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
And it's certain scenes it still looks 2D and stuff, and it keeps the charm of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it, like, utilizes both.
Yeah.
It's very appealing.
Yeah. For me, it was really interesting to watch this now for two reasons. One is I realized halfway through this movie that the plot and character arcs and stuff are very similar to another movie
Oh, yeah?
that I'm not going to say because you haven't seen it yet.
Oh. Okay.
But it made me appreciate that movie even more in addition to this movie, and now I'm like, ooh, I'm really curious to see that again. And so that was one aspect. The other aspect was the teaching aspect of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because the whole idea of the teaching, it's not, because they don't just go for, you know, oh, anyone can do it as long as you believe in them, right? That's part of it, but that's not the how, right?
Yeah.
The
Right.
how is Shifu found his motivator.
Yeah.
Right? That was the how. And that's actually a thing that, like, we talked about in education a lot, where it's like you have to, you know, you have to just get them motivated to learn. And once that happens, they kind of teach themselves a lot of the time once they want to. Right?
Yeah.
So getting that kind of mindset and how do you actually get them engaged in the first place is usually the hardest part. And so that's kind of interesting how that was done and how they kind of worked through things that way, and they definitely clearly had, okay, this is how they actually got through and got things working.
Yeah.
So that was something that I appreciated as well. One thing also I noticed about Tai Lung, he's kind of like Anakin.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he is.
Did you notice that? Because he's
Yeah.
like, you know, the chosen one that but he has darkness inside of him, and like because he was raised to assume he's going to be great, he, you know, fell, and you know what I mean? It's like it kind of it's done better, right? But like the elements of the character are there, and it's interesting to kind of draw the comparison, and how that could work with him.
Oh, speaking of him, on like a really random note, when you see the prison and everything, you're like, oh, this is really impressive and stuff. And you're looking down and you see the bridges and how deep it is and stuff. And then they mentioned that they built it just for this one guy, and you're just like, wait, they built this entire prison for this one guy.
How long did that take?
Yeah.
The prison.
Well, because that's the thing. They said he was in there for 20 years.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, I assume they'd had it built like for probably something a long time ago, and they were just like, well, we have this here, let's stick him in it, right?
It just
Probably
reinforced
that's what it was.
But it is a little bit weird.
small details. In
Yeah.
this movie.
But yes, those are the main things I noticed. I think if I had to pick like anything that I wish was they maybe did a little bit more, even though I think Tai Lung is overall pretty good, I feel like they could have done a bit more with him, and like really.
Especially at the very end, because you don't really see what happened to him. He kind of just disappeared, and it's kind of like, well, where did he go?
I kind of like that like they don't really show what actually that the finger hold thing does, but I think more for me it's more like, even though you get it during the fight with like his relationship with Shifu, I kind of feel like they could have done that a little bit more. I don't know, like it's done well, but I kind of feel like there should be a little bit more there. But yeah, and then what was the other thing? Oh, the other thing was, and this is pretty minor because it's, well, the movie of course has other stuff to focus on, but I kind of feel like Oogway should have stuck around for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's gone pretty quickly, and like I get it that like his his going leads to Shifu kind of turning around, which is kind of basically starts Act 2 in a sense. But like what I mean. So I get they have to do that kind of early, but I don't know. It feels like a little bit too early. But
like he was there just to like choose the Dragon Warrior and then disappear forever.
Yeah, so because the philosophy, like actually, the whole like conversation with the two of them with the peach tree, like about like what do you actually have control over?
Yeah,
which was interesting because like again, a lot of the times those kind of things, they very clearly say this is how it's supposed to be, like this is the message, but they kind of played both sides.
Yeah.
Right? And they did it in a way where it's like, well, you do have control over this, and I do control this, and blah, blah, and it's like, oh, but, but it always becomes that, right? So it's an interesting kind of, it's a, it's the balance kind of thing, right? So I was glad they kind of addressed it in that way.
I liked that part, and then this is kind of, like, irrelevant overall, but it's just, maybe it's just me with my whole, like, fascination with this subject, but the way he died was very interesting, at least for me. It was because it's also kind of like you have Shifu, and you see that he's also a student too.
Yeah.
Because Oogway is his master, and then he leaves, and then he has to become the big master after that. So I thought it was kind of interesting that there were multiple like student and teacher dynamics where there's like this one that's like a really old, really I guess well forged student teacher bond, and then you have that becomes the motivator for Shifu to reach out to Po so that he can be the proper teacher that he needs to be the Dragon Warrior.
And also what I like that they do is they don't like make Poe amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They don't like they
you can still see that he's still himself.
Yeah, he flails to victory basically, right? But like that's, if anything, that's what I like as well, is that with Tai Lung, he's like this super trained guy who like knows all of, what everyone's supposed to do. But Poe doesn't do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like he's actually it is perfect where he's the person to defeat Tai Lung, because Tai Lung, it's like, how would I, it's something where you completely, he's, okay, I know everyone is supposed to fight. Like, again, he took out the Furious Five without that much difficulty because he knows how they're going to attack him, because that's all the rules and stuff like that. And then Poe just does whatever the fuck he wants, right? And if anything, Tai Lung gets like really pissed about it because he's like, why can't I just beat this asshole? But it's like that kind of causes him to lose, right? So it's interesting playing games with that.
I was gonna say that they even mentioned during the movie that he had learned like all the kung fu styles and everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So he knows all this stuff and everything, and he probably knows all the different techniques that even the Furious Five like know and specialize in and stuff. But Poe is just that different.
Yeah.
And stuff that he just can't.
Yeah.
He just takes basics and then runs with it.
And actually, I do like also with that kind of is on Shifu as well, where at first, before he figures out the motivator, he legitimately was like, I don't know how to train you.
Yeah.
Right? Even though he's like, I'm not saying that, like, you know, I don't believe in you, but I don't know what to do. Right?
Yeah.
So that's a good, like, humanizing element as well, because it's not just like, you know, here's the omnipotent master that knows everything. You know what I mean? So they both discover kind of what they need to do. So I really like the dynamic between Shifu and Poe.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the two things I mentioned, and then if there was to say anything else, maybe just that the Furious Five like is not super interesting, but at the same time, like, again, they're clearly not the focus, so you can't really blame it that much.
Yeah.
I do remember at least a little bit more is in the sequels, but I can't remember the specifics.
I guess that would kind of make sense.
Yeah. There's
the
still
main character arcs are Poe and Shifu.
Yeah,
they're the main ones.
The sequels still focus on Poe, so that's, you know, one thing. But there is definitely a little bit more. Yeah. I still even, I mean, again, I haven't seen it in a few years, but I still probably would say I like Kung Fu Panda 2 a bit more. And it's because I really like the villain in 2. He's actually very similar to Tai Lung now that I think about it, but he's more interesting in terms of personality and how he views himself and other people and stuff like that. 3 is I like 3. I think it's probably the worst of them, but I still like it. It's a bit more. The villain for 3 is pretty much, you know, your standard, like, super powerful bad guy that nobody thinks anyone can beat. You know, so pretty similar to Tai Lung, but he's a bit more, like, quote-unquote...
Flat?
He's a bit more quote-unquote supernatural in how he does things.
Oh, okay.
So it's, you know, it's that. And then the actual character arcs in 3, it's not bad, but it's just kind of normal character arcs that you've seen before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fine. I'd still recommend it if you're curious to watch it, but I would say 2 is the best. This one's very close behind it, and 3 is still pretty close behind 1 and 2. So all of them are good, but yeah. So, but this is I even coming into this movie being like, okay, I know I like this movie. I'm curious to see it again. I still feel like I liked it more than I thought I would.
Yeah, same.
So
like even as a kid, I came out of it being like, this was not as bad as I thought it would be.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's Kung Fu Panda with Jack Black is like the best DreamWorks movie that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Prince of Egypt, we missed out on.
Yeah. I really
very salty.
I really want to see that again. I still haven't seen it again. Because I did see it, but it was back when, you know, I was like 9. So I need to see it again. Yeah. What DreamWorks? What happened? Jeez. They're all over the place.
There are some hits. There are some misses.
Yeah. Again,
they're
like
mostly misses.
Like, there's Prince of Egypt. There's like at least some of the Shrek movies. The Kung Fu Panda movies, Madagascar movies, and How to Train Your Dragon. Right. Like, those are good. And there's a couple, there's probably, like, I've heard Megamind is pretty good, though I haven't seen it.
I've seen that one.
I feel like they're missing another one. But then, like, everything else, like, you know, they have fucking Trolls, they have the fucking Boss Baby, they have the fucking, like, super fast snails, which is, like, the dumbest fucking idea, but whatever.
Oh, you mean Turbo?
Yeah, like, there's all this shit like that that's, like, just why? I mean, again, Shark Tale, right? Why? You know, so...
We're gonna forget that DreamWorks made that movie.
Yeah, so it's just weird. It's like, is there just like one dude who's like really good that like makes some of the movies, and then everyone else is just shit? Like, I don't know. I don't get it.
Or
But
maybe it's the opposite.
oh, there's
There's
one
that
dude
one
that keeps
guy.
fucking up all the movies.
Oh. It
Uh,
could be either way,
yeah,
I would
I
say.
don't know. But yeah, it's a really good movie, and it's even better than I thought it would, and I remembered it being.
Don't judge
So.
a book by its cover in this case.
Yeah, I mean, again,
That's kind of also the message of the movie, too, isn't
well,
it?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, again, a lot of the messages and plots, like just on the surface level, are very standard, but there's these
Yeah.
levels below it that are much more interesting. Oh, and
Yeah.
also, we kind of didn't say this. Pretty much every character like reacts to things totally realistically.
Yeah, they do. Which is
So-
really
Especially
nice.
Poe.
Yeah, like Poe.
You have to defeat Tai Lung, runs for the hills.
Yeah, Poe, Shifu, even Furious 5 who are
Yeah.
like kind of were pissed at him at first, right? But then like they do kind of
Warm up
have
to
some
him
friendships and stuff
gradually
like that.
and stuff.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just it's very realistic in that regard. It's just so weird, Kung Fu Panda has the realistic characters. It's just like I think this, especially now, like people know that this movie's pretty good. So there's not. I guess we don't have to harp on that too much, but definitely, probably when it came out, everyone was surprised. Like, wait, this is a good movie.
Yeah, 'cause, like,
But-
again, Jack Black plays a fat panda in a kung
Yeah.
fu movie.
I mean, just look at the poster. Like, it's literally, you know what I mean? It's a stupid poster. It doesn't, show anything. It's like, okay, how lame, right? It actually, you know what it reminds me of as the poster? It reminds me of the Kangaroo Jack poster.
Oh
Oh,
my god.
Because it's literally
like,
just the
great.
main character, like, in front of, like, a red background with the title of the movie, and it's like, okay. So, I mean, well... Okay, never mind. Well, I'm not going to talk about fucking Kangaroo Jack in this review, in this discussion. But, so it's just, yeah, it was so unassuming, and then everyone's like, oh, shit, this is actually good. So, yeah, but yeah, I guess that's that.
yeah, that's that.
Yeah, so anything else to mention?
Not really. We watched 2 Kung Fu movies in the same year.
Oh yeah, both had Jackie Chan, one with a bigger role, and then the other one with a
Oh,
much
yeah.
smaller.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Oh yeah, but both of these, like, and again, as we said earlier, like, the plots are actually really similar.
Yeah, they are.
Although this is done noticeably better. I mean, again, Forbidden Kingdom was fine, but the plot was not its strong suit, so,
You're
Yeah.
thinking of when the Jade Emperor rose with his wife into the floor.
They ascended.
Yes. Just,
On
just
that
like
note.
the aliens from Indiana Jones.
No, I think
Oh.
that was more ridiculous.
Oh my god, that fucking movie.
On that note,
On that note, next we're seeing another movie that I saw when I was younger and want to see again that was good. These two actually haven't seen it. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see that as well.
Yes.
forget what the next one is, but yes.
There's a lot of actually interesting movies this year.
Oh yeah, as we continue on.
Yeah, we're getting closer to that movie.
Oh boy.
Oh god.
I'm
it's
sure people are looking forward to that.
gonna murder us all.
On that lovely note, bye.
Bye.